हेलो एवरीवन, आज हम करेंगे प्रोथेलेमियन। ये स्पेंसर्स पोइट्री है, पार्ट 2 है ये, ठीक है। प्रोथेलेमियन स्टार्ट करते हैं। द टर्म प्रोथेलेमियन, एज वी हैव ऑलरेडी नोटेड, इज अ स्पेंसेरियन न्यूलॉजिज्म invented to signify a preliminary nuptial song. The poem was written on the occasion of the wedding of Elizabeth and Catherine Somerset, daughters of Edward Somerset, the Earl of Worcester, on 8th November 1596. The wedding was formalized at the Strand in London in Essex House. Spencer was once sponsored by the Earl of Essex, a relative of the Somersets, hence the writing of this poem. But this poem is vastly different from Spencer's own nuptial song, where the epithalamion is exuberantly sensual and consistent throughout its length in its theme. The prothalamin is shorter, more pensive. Pensive means thoughtful, and almost sedate in its pace. Calm. Sedate means calm. The prothalamion too uses some of the devices of the earlier poem in its structure. For instance, it too uses a pastoral setting, specifically here the bank of the river Thames, and it too employs a couplet at the end of the first stanza that is reworked into a refrain at the end of each subsequent stanza, जैसे कि against the bridal day which is not long, slash sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. Again, like the epithalamion, the prothalamion too eventually invokes pagan gods to bless the couples and guard them from all ills. अभी थोड़ा एक्सटेंजा है, 6 स्टेंजा लिया है इन्होंने. Lo may you have and gentle hearts content of your love's couplement, and let fairy Venus, that is queen of love, with her heart quelling sonnet upon you smile, whose smile they say hath virtue to remove all love's dislike and friendship's fault, gill forever to assoil. But there the resemblance ends. The later poem makes no attempt to elaborate on the wedding. Later means prothalamion, or the festivities that follow, or the wedding night, as did the epithalamion. Even the invocation cited above is barely a few lines in one stanza, unlike in the epithalamion. Instead, it confines itself to describing the bridal processions down the river Thames, leading up to Essex House, where the wedding will be solemnized. The refrain, such as it is, shows far less variation than in the epithalamion, rendering the poem somewhat stilted and wooden. In terms of the passage of time, it is little more than a few hours of the morning that are encapsulated by the poem. मतलब वो लिया गया है ना. And therefore the poem has none of the profound integration of temporary and theme that the epithalamion weaves, weaves. What it does have in an elaborate allegorical structure in which the two brides are likened to beautiful swans that sail down the river. The allusions is to the Roman classical myth of Jove and Leda, but it is used to suggest that the two daughters of Somerset were in fact more beautiful than Jove and Leda 2. The real significance of the poem, unlike the epithalamion, lies less in its poetic achievements and more in its biographical value, as reflective of some of the pressures that Spencer, the outsider to court politics, must have had to face. The lines when I whom sullen care through discontent of my long fruitless stay in Prince's Court and expectation vain of idle hopes which still do fly away like empty shadows did afflict my brain walked forth to ease my pain. Stanza 1. ओके ये यहाँ ख़त्म होता है. नाउ इसमें लिखा है दीज लाइन्स आर अनएक्सपेक्टेड एज एन ओपनिंग टू व्हाट इज़ ostensibly a celebratory wedding song. Their very presence in a poem written in honor of his patron's friend suggests the anger and rejection that Spencer must have felt towards the entire system of patronage that was so important for a poet's and in fact a courtier's survival in the Elizabethan court. This sense of unhappiness arising out of unsatisfied career prospects is repeated again in stanza 8 as if the poet is unable to restrain himself. The paragraph है ये next whereunto there stands a stately place where oft I gained gifts and goodly grace of that great Lord which therein want to dwell, whose want to well now feels my friendless case, but here fits not well old woes but enjoys to tell. The Lord being referred to is of course the late Earl of Leicester, Spencer's patron for many years. This reference suggests that it is the impersonality of the patronage system. Patronage क्या होता था? जो पोएट होते थे ना उनको कोई जो अमीर आदमी है वो पैसा देता था ताकि वो उनकी जीविका अपनी चला सकें. Now, in which one patron can and should replace another, that most bothers Spencer, and not perhaps the system itself. Whatever the truth, it is clear from these lines that the poem is as much about the poet's sense of unhappiness as it is about the wedding. In fact, the latter becoming a means and an occasion to air the former. Now, let us sum up करेंगे. In the above units, ये conclusion है पूरे unit का. In the above unit, we studied two of Spencer's long poems, Epithalamion and Prothalamion. We examined not only the various poetic and cultural influences that went into the writing of these poems, but also how they come to reflect various aspects of his personal life as much as aspects of Elizabethan England. We noted how Spencer establishes his uniqueness in blending Christian, classical, and pre-Christian tribal lores in his poetry. This, as we noted, this in many ways served as the training ground for the more ambitious fusions that Spencer was to attempt in his unfinished magnum opus. Magnum opus क्या था? The Fairy Queen. In particular, we noted the way these poems, the Prothalamion in particular, indexes the role of patronage and politics in the writings of the Renaissance English poets. From our study, it is clear that the Spencerian period in English literature was a pioneering, मतलब starting का था, and formative one for it. Spencer's ability to fuse diverse poetic and discursive traditions brought into the corpus of English literature a set of possibilities that it was left to later poets to exploit and further. And this we will see especially in the study of John Milton's work. ओके चलो ये यहाँ फिनिश करते हैं हम लोग. थैंक यू सो मच.